Let me just do a dipstick check. Who's in the security teams involved with security here? About 10% of the people. So I can tell a lot of lies today. No, I actually wanted to do some talent spotting, who can I recruit? One of the problems in the industry is a massive shortage, and especially when you start talking about cyber and cybersecurity. Not only in South Africa, internationally. I believe in America, they've got more vacancies than they've got certified information system security professionals in actually 2 million. So there's a massive shortage. Those of you not in security, that's the career path of the future. It's a new career, it's rising, and we need people there that's going to help us fight this battle. No single company or industry or whatever can fight this battle alone. It's just not possible because it's all based on threat intelligence. What's going to happen next? So I pitched this at the C-level because that's the language I talk. I'm not involved in the nuts and bolts anymore, so if you ask me technical questions, I'll just plead innocent. I don't know. I don't know all the detailed technical stuff, been there, done that, and it changed a lot ever since. So I'm more looking at it from a global perspective, and obviously as a financial services, we fit into that global picture. So the picture you see behind you, this is the cyber world as I would like to refer to it. And I don't know how many of you know that there's a surface web, a deep web, and a dark web. Anybody heard of the dark web? A lot of you heard of the dark web. Okay. So in essence, the surface web, 4% of the content that we are dealing with are dealt with at the surface web. So typically, your network and your organization will be part of the surface web. And maybe if you have a web instance or whatever, it will go a little bit deeper into the deep website, where 90% of the content more or less is stored. The sad thing about the deep web is that where crime as a service, where that actually takes place. Now, what do I mean by crime as a service? So, if I want to launch a distributed denial of service attack against somebody, I will launch it from there. I can actually go and buy it there. If I want to buy personal data, I will go and buy it there. If I want to intercept somebody's email, I will go and buy the service there. So crime as a service, and it's really growing very strongly in the deep web environment. More dangerous to that is the dark web, where 6% of the content takes place. Now, I recently read a book about the dark web, and that's the place where if I want to go and buy somebody's card with his PIN, and we know what the balance is, I can go and buy the card there. That's the place where I can place money that somebody will be assassinated on that day, at that point in time, and the one that's the closest, I'll put money on there as well, anonymized, totally anonymized. The one that's the closest, he will get the pool of the money, and nobody else will know who actually got the money. So this is the mafia of today. That's where it's happening. Really, really bad. I don't know how many of you have been impacted by trolling. Do you know what trolling is? So sometimes you make a statement on a social media site or whatever, and somebody would come totally from the outside, and he would say, but this statement you made on here, it's insulting the rest of the people on the group. So what he's doing is actually trying to get reaction and to start another conversation going. It's a known fact that people do that. So be careful in the future. So if you go back to America and all the stories about Russia interfering, from a trolling point of view, it's easy to change people's perceptions by just throwing a spanner in the works. So it's very, very likely that they did make use of social media to actually do. There's also something that originated from the dark web. Many other things happening there. You can go and read about it. Not a good place to be. Us as a business as well, we subscribe to a service that actually they do searches for us, and they would give us feedback and say, this is what we found, what do you want to do? Cards being sold takes about 9 minutes from the time that the card is placed for sale on the dark web until it's sold, depending on the balance or whatever. So really not a nice place to be. Tor that you see there is a tool that was actually developed by the American Navy, and it was to anonymize their activities. I don't know, but I can guess that maybe to spy on other organizations, other nation states, or whatever. And unfortunately, it leaked out. And funny enough, it even got a prize for the best open source software in the world. And then the hackers got hold of it, and they started creating what we know as the dark web today, intensively making use of Tor. Okay. So Darshan talked a lot about the insider. So in essence, I don't have to say much more about it, but it's known that the threat is 70% from the inside and 30% from the outside. So you need to protect your crown jewels from the inside. The things that he said is basic stuff, but that is what you have to do to protect your information assets. Let's start on the right-hand side here with nation states. So, you know, nation states at this point in time, again, the North Korea, USA situation. And the one would like to have as much information about the other as he possibly can. So it is a threat out there. It's definitely a threat out there. I think in South African terms, we're not a threat for any other nations or whatever. But the sad thing is, or the danger is, that there's no such thing as a border. There's no physical border anymore. There's no lines drawn in the sand. So tomorrow the situation can change. We upset somebody, and they may decide that they want to attack us. Terrorists. It's getting more and more difficult for terrorist groups to actually wash their money, to get their money. So they go onto the internet, use other means and stuff to actually get their money and move their money around. So this is really happening. I think you all know of plenty of examples where terrorist groups were involved. They intensively make use of the internet to actually recruit people as well, to do talent spotting on there, etc. So they're very active in as far as that is concerned. Insiders we talked about. Spy, obviously. You know, we've got a saying that cybersecurity does not give you the competitive advantage, because we want to get all the role players together. We can share threat intelligence and react upon that as well. So that's definitely happening with organizations still seeing one another as opposition, and hence they would like to find out when are you launching what are you doing, so that they can be ahead of you. So it's definitely out there, and it's definitely happening. Cyber criminals, hostile by nature, mainly for financial gain. There's big syndicates operating. What we're seeing with the attempts to access our systems, a lot from the Ukraine, a lot from Russia. I believe the Russians, there's a specific place where they actually bought an old submarine, and the submarine is now equipped with all their stuff inside, so nobody can get in there to take their hacking equipment and stuff from there. So, and that's also, it's growing at a very fast pace. Now, hacktivists, in general, I don't think they're that dangerous, but they can be. They've already made a number of statements, and I think last year in Africa, they did say we're going to target Africa, and I think locally more than 2,000 websites were defaced by Anonymous. What Anonymous does is they will associate with some cause. So as a matter of interest, at one stage we did a business continuity scenario exercise with our whole executive team, 37 of them. And the scenario we sketched was that Standard Bank is financing the company that's doing the fracking in the Karoo, that's going to do the fracking in the Karoo. Anonymous heard about this, and they're against fracking, so they joined cause with the people, and now they're attacking the banking platform. What we didn't know, it was actually what was happening. Standard Bank is financing the company. Very good exercise. But just look, you have to think what you're doing and what danger they pose to you as well if you get involved in things like that. Okay. This is just a picture to show you all must have heard of Equifax, the latest one. I just want to go back to this one quickly. This morning I had my coffee, I paced through my presentation. And being in school holiday, my granddaughter is with us. She's 11 years old. And she looked at this and she asked me, and I gave her a quick brief. And the question to me was, but are we at risk? And I thought, wow, you know, if she can get that, why doesn't C-levels get it in the organization? Really. The Equifax, you'll see it there. This is the year. The size of the bubble indicates the sensitivity of the record, and the color of the bubble, the method of breach. So you will see that most of this is hacks that actually happen in the world. And Equifax, they fresh in the news at this point in time. They're busy appearing in front of the US Senate, and they are being grilled left, right, and center because they didn't have a proper incident response. People didn't know where to go, how to deal with it. They had nothing in place, their basic controls to actually prevent the information that leaked from leaking was non-existent, and they're really getting a beating for this. So it's a credit scoring company, which makes it a little bit more serious. And they initially said 143 million full customer details that was leaked. Out of the 143 million, that has grown like Pinocchio's nose now. It's up to 145 million, another 2 million. 200,000 out of that is actually card detail that's available on the dark web already. So that is what can happen to you, and they're going to battle to get out of this, because if you're not prepared for something like this and it happens to you, you are going to be grilled. You're definitely going to be grilled. A lot of people's stuff being compromised, and sensitive information as well. So the question, are we at risk? This table here, I know at the back, maybe you can't see, I don't have to go into the detail. That one says device spoofing, identity spoofing, IP spoofing, man-in-the-middle browser, and that's the first one was Q2 2016, and the second one Q2 2017. So what you can see, except for the spoofing, the IP spoofing one, it's because there's better controls now, technology controls, but it's definitely, it's going up and up and up and up, and that's just some of the threats that I pointed out. There is obviously a lot more than that as well. Africa specifically, out of the big percentage, you know, what makes up device spoofing, identity spoofing, IP spoofing, and you can see that the figures are very, very high. Africa is perceived as being behind, although I don't agree in all instances. I think because we are faced with a lot of crime and stuff, we're actually right at the forefront of it. We're fighting it, and I can tell you now, I've had many experiences where people from Europe came over, they wanted to teach us something, and we taught them this is the way you do it. As an example, 2007, I attended the Information Security Forum conference in Cape Town, and where a guy from the UK started talking about the likelihood of SIM swaps. And I sat in the audience and I couldn't put up my hand and say, I was at the Red Bank at that point in time. I couldn't put up my hand and say, sorry, we already had it. Because that would have embarrassed the bank that I work for. But they were talking about the likelihood. We already had it. So we're right at the forefront of things like this. We're not bad, I can tell you that.
The criminals are not bad.
Yeah, the criminals. That's right. I think many of you must have heard of the kill chain right at the top. So if they start planning their attack and stuff, they reconciliation, they weaponize, they deliver, so they prepare whatever they want, the virus or whatever. They deliver whatever the weapons, they start exploiting, they get command and control over it, they execute and they maintain, and that's what we refer to as the kill chain. So the message here is, if you go back to your organizations and you talk cybersecurity, this is what's important to you. So what controls from identify from the attack from a predictive point of view do you have in place for each one of them? And believe you me, you can never say that you'll be safe. Never, never. It's not possible. Not in this world. The developments are just too fast. The modus operandi just changed, whatever. So it makes it extremely difficult. And I mean, just look at the WannaCry. I say the WannaCry, going to cry, have to cry, wanna cry no more. because this is part of the leaks at the National Security Agency, and it became available to the criminals, the crime syndicates out there, and they used it. And I mean, if you look at this, more than 2,000 organizations that was impacted by the WannaCry. Ransomware encrypts your stuff, so you don't have usability of it anymore. This slide is really the important one because the question posed was, listen, so from a banking point of view, what are you guys doing? I'm going to run through it quickly. You will see that the cybercrimes bill makes provision for the creation of a nodal point. Dr. Kira is going to talk about that as well. And it speaks of the creation of different sector cybersecurity incident response teams. And I can understand why they do that. It's simply because we need to get the information at the nodal point. If we now get the question and say, what is the actual cyber threat to South Africa over all the industries? I don't think we're at a good place to actually give that picture. And that's what they're trying to do here. So as a financial services sector, we've already created such a practice. And fortunately, and I think for the bigger industries, that's the problem, you need a convener. So at this, we've got the South African Banking Risk Information Center. They're right in the middle, so they act as the convener. What we first did there, we started off with a cybersecurity incident response team, and we basically had to force the people to start sharing information. It was very, very difficult. Listen to what I said, the competitive advantage a little earlier. We had to empower the people. We had to constantly say, share, whatever you get. And I think that's really working well now. We've got sessions where we call it co-location sessions, where we actually detach somebody from the banks, and they all go and sit at Sabric for a day, 1 day a week, and they share information. We've also got a secure system where we can share information. Okay, other than that, we've got the Cybersecurity Steering Committee that provides the strategic direction. We've defined through the Steering Committee a framework or a standard. We've relied heavily on NIST 853, which speaks to cybersecurity, but we've taken that and we've made it applicable to the South African environment specifically. It also contains a self-assessment, so that the different banks, there's 17 banks by the way participating, they can go back, they can do assessments. We anonymize it and we report to the board. From a financial services point of view, this is the posture that we are at the moment. So it's really working well. You need something that you can measure yourself as well, and that will help you to drive. And that's the assessment that I refer to. So there's a number of external role players as well. Obviously, the Reserve Bank is our regulator. All giving inputs, and at this point in time, wherever somebody gets some standard, he passes along and says, you have to adhere to this, you have to adhere. So it's quite chaotic. What we tried to do was to standardize with a framework for ourselves, and then the assessment that we do. And then the other thing is, at the lower level, the IT guys like to talk about detection, prediction, identification, whatever. I like to refer to cyber resilience and ask myself, what is cyber resilience about? And cyber resilience really is the ability to anticipate, to withstand, to recover from a cyber attack, and to constantly evolve so that you can be as best prepared for a possible cyber attack in the future. There's just, I think the slides are going to be available as well. So impact in our world. At one stage I got a question say, so what is our cyber risk? And when you really go and think about it, it's not that easy to define the cyber risk, because a risk is a threat plus an impact plus a vulnerability. And if any one of them are not there, then you don't have a risk. So this is what I came up with to say cyber extortion, all the ransomware that we are having nowadays, big issue. And I mean, I'm sure many of you and your company have been impacted already. A large-scale data breach like Equifax, we're in a banking service, the customer information file is the most important file to us. We don't want to lose that. We don't want to compromise that. A concerted cyber attack. I've shown you the threat agents out there that can't possibly plan a concerted cyber attack. And as a matter of fact, last year in Japan, for those of you who were not sleeping, we had an incident in Standard Bank where they nailed us 300 million in a matter of 2 hours. So, and it was a concerted planned attack through mafia organizations. that we know now. And system infiltration, something that you will not know about, and it can be the insiders as well. That slowly but surely follows the kill chain to help somebody on the outside to actually get access to your information. So the threat landscape that we are using, I think it's important. We always say a chain is as strong as the weakest link, and in this case a beehive is as strong as the weakest link. But that's the things you have to consider when you look at the total threat landscape in this environment. And in conclusion, it is profoundly different in traditional crime. The way you investigate it, the technical skills that you need, what worked today will not work tomorrow because of the change in the modus operandi. And you have to acknowledge that and play towards that as well. Otherwise, you will always be behind. Always be behind. Okay, and that's it from me.